Have you ever read the words of Marcus Aurelius when he said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way"? Think about that for a moment. Sometimes the obstacle in your life isn't the job, the weather, or even yourself. Sometimes the obstacle is your own family. That thought alone feels heavy. But let's be real. Love doesn't mean allowing yourself to be destroyed. And just because someone is blood doesn't mean they get to poison your soul. Before we go deeper into this, if you find value and wisdom like this, make sure to like and subscribe because we walk this journey of Stoicism together. Number 1, when respect is replaced with disrespect. Respect is the foundation of every meaningful relationship. Even Stoic thinkers emphasize dignity, self-control, and mutual regard. But what happens when your family mocks your values, belittles your dreams, or constantly tears you down? It's no longer love, it's control disguised as care. A Stoic would remind us that we can't control their behavior, but we can control how long we tolerate it. When every interaction leaves you feeling smaller, weaker, and less alive, it's not a home anymore, it's a cage. And cages are built by words as much as by walls. If your peace of mind is being traded for constant disrespect, you must ask yourself, is blood really thicker than self-respect? Humor moment. And let's be honest, if the family dinner feels more like a roast than a meal, and you're always the main dish, maybe it's time to step out of the kitchen. The truth is, walking away from disrespect is not betrayal. It's self-preservation. You can love people from a distance without allowing them to destroy your inner dignity. Number 2, when love is conditional. Real love doesn't come with strings attached. Conditional love is like a business contract. Do what they want, and they smile. Step out of line, and they withdraw affection. This isn't family. This is manipulation. And manipulation corrodes the soul faster than fire. The Stoics would tell us, happiness doesn't depend on the approval of others, not even the approval of your family. If someone makes you feel loved only when you fit their idea of you, then you're not truly loved, you're just tolerated. Humor moment. It's like being given Wi-Fi access, but only if you do the chores. Once you sit down to relax, boom, they change the password. That's not family love, that's hostage negotiation. When you notice that their love disappears the moment you show independence or chase your path, it's a clear sign. Love should lift you, not hold you hostage. And sometimes, the only way to keep your self-respect is to walk away from conditional affection. Number 3, when you're forced to betray yourself. A Stoic life is about living in alignment with your values, with virtue, wisdom, and integrity. But what happens when your family pressures you to betray those values? When they force you into habits, choices, or lifestyles that go against your nature? That is no longer guidance, that is chains disguised as advice. If you can't breathe in your own home, if you're forced to shrink who you are just to avoid conflict, then you've already been broken. And it's worse when the people doing the breaking are the ones you're told to trust. No philosopher would call that noble. Humor moment. It's like being told to play Monopoly, but every time you pass go, they take your $200 and remind you it's family tradition. That's not tradition, that's theft with a smile. To live wisely means to live truthfully. And truth can never thrive where you're asked to betray yourself just to belong. Number 4, when peace turns into constant chaos. One of the highest values in Stoicism is inner peace, freedom from being tossed around by chaos. But if every time you visit or answer their call, you're thrown into endless drama, that peace is gone. Chaos disguised as family love still corrodes your spirit. Peace is not found in the loudest voices or the most dramatic relatives. Peace is found when you guard your soul like a fortress. If every encounter leaves you drained, anxious, or restless, then you must ask, do I owe my soul to those who destroy it? The answer is no. Humor moment. If your phone rings and you pray it's a scammer instead of your cousin, that's your soul trying to tell you something. Sometimes, the telemarketer offers you more peace than family drama ever will. Walking away doesn't always mean slamming doors. Sometimes it means creating space and choosing to preserve the quiet that Stoics cherished over the noise of toxic bonds. Number 5. When forgiveness becomes enslavement. Forgiveness is noble, but forgiveness without boundaries is slavery. Yes, forgive, but also remember that wisdom means learning. If they keep hurting you, and you keep staying, then you're not practicing forgiveness. You're practicing self-destruction. The Stoics didn't teach blind tolerance. They taught strength in walking the harder path, even if that meant walking alone. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is forgive, and then remove yourself from the battlefield. Humor moment. It's like hugging a cactus over and over because it's family. Sure, you're being loving, but eventually you'll bleed out. The cactus isn't changing. Your duty is not to keep bleeding for those who refuse to stop stabbing. Your duty is to live in truth, in peace, and in strength. Ending a toxic family relationship doesn't make you heartless. It makes you wise. Number 6. When boundaries are always ignored. Boundaries are not walls. They're doors with locks. Healthy families knock before entering. Unhealthy ones break the door down and demand you thank them for it. If you've made your boundaries clear, but they still dismiss them as disrespect or rebellion, that's a major sign of dysfunction. A Stoic knows that peace comes from discipline, and discipline includes saying no. If every no you give is met with guilt trips, anger, or manipulation, then you're not in a family system. You're in a dictatorship. Humor moment. It's like telling them, "Don't touch my fries," and 5 minutes later half the plate is gone. Sure, fries are small, but if they can't respect potatoes, how will they respect your soul? Boundaries are not up for negotiation. If your family can't respect them, then it's time to create distance. Not to punish them, but to protect your peace. Number 7. When guilt is the primary weapon. Love builds, guilt destroys. Some families use guilt like a tool to control you. After all we've done for you, you'll regret this when we're gone, or you owe us. This is not love. This is emotional blackmail. And blackmail has no place in true relationships. Stoics teach us to distinguish what is within our control. Guilt planted by others is their tool to keep control, not your obligation to carry it. You cannot build a free life while chained to someone else's guilt. Humor moment. It's like those endless WhatsApp chain messages. If you don't forward this to 10 people, bad luck will follow. Except this time it's your uncle saying, "If you don't visit me every weekend, you don't love us." Same scam, different sender. If your love is measured by how guilty they can make you feel, then you're not in a family bond. You're in a psychological trap. Step out, or be trapped forever. Number 8. When growth is punished, not celebrated. Family should be your first cheerleaders. But what if every time you grow, they try to pull you back down? If your success, independence, or dreams are met with jealousy or sabotage, then they don't want your growth. They want your dependence. Stoicism values progress, self-mastery, and resilience. If your family punishes you for becoming better, they're not standing with you. They're standing against you. And it's hard to build a future when the very people behind you are clipping your wings. Humor moment. It's like finally deciding to hit the gym, and your cousin says, "Why bother? You'll quit in a week." Thanks for the motivation, champ. Remind me never to bring you to my TED Talk. Real love claps for you, even when you're changing. If your family can't handle your growth, then it's not your job to shrink. It's their job to grow up. Number 9. When you're the only one trying. Relationships require effort from both sides. If you're the only one calling, apologizing, or making peace, then it's no longer a relationship. It's a performance. And guess what? You're the only actor on stage. Stoics would tell us not to waste energy where it bears no fruit. If the connection only survives because you carry the entire weight, then it's not family unity, it's exploitation of your loyalty. Humor moment. It's like playing tug of war by yourself. You're pulling with all your strength, but the rope is tied to a tree. Of course you're exhausted. You're fighting alone. If they truly cared, they'd meet you halfway. Don't set yourself on fire to keep people warm who don't even notice the heat. Number 10. When staying feels like self-betrayal. At the deepest level, the greatest betrayal is not what others do to you. It's what you allow yourself to endure. If staying in that family environment makes you feel like you're betraying your truth, your values, or your peace, then you've already answered your own question. Stoicism teaches us to align with virtue above everything else. If remaining in a relationship forces you to abandon virtue, whether through lying, pretending, or constantly suppressing yourself, then you've lost more than family. You've lost yourself. Humor moment. It's like showing up to a costume party, except it's your everyday life. You're always wearing a mask, smiling when you want to cry, agreeing when you want to scream. That's not family love. That's unpaid acting. You don't owe anyone your self-betrayal. The moment you feel that staying is costing you your soul, that's the sign. It's time to let go. Remember this. Walking away from family does not mean you've stopped loving them. It simply means you've chosen to love yourself enough not to be destroyed. Blood is not an excuse for abuse. A Stoic heart is firm, steady, and guided by virtue. And sometimes that virtue means letting go. So guard your peace, hold your dignity, and don't be afraid to end relationships that suffocate your soul. Because sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away.